Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Horses. Andy Serling, soon to be joined by Anthony Stabile on a gorgeous Thursday here at Aqueduct. We're off the turf in race number 1. The courses still dry out. It's not the summer. They don't dry out quite as quickly, but we're on the turf for all the other races today. 8-race card. You want to play them. We want you, and you want to play them at Naira Bets. We'll match up to $200. Use the promo code Big A. When you're signing up for Naira Bets, think of the Big A. As though you're not thinking of the Big A all the time. $10 back if you bet $10 across the board and your horse doesn't win in the first race today on Thursday. Anthony, you ready to rock and roll through today's eighth race card?
Let's do it, my friend.
Let's do it. No more pleasantries. Off the turf of the first. I'll be honest. I think the first race is interesting on turf or dirt. I don't think it really lost a lot of its luster. And as you can see, the field, I think it's actually a bigger field, right? Because there were 3 MTOs and we only lost 2 with it coming off. I think the horse to beat in here is the number 6, JJ Jen. I'm not sure why you have her third. You can expand on that. I just think last time out, she's first time for a tag. It is New York State bred, so sometimes it's more significant than others. I think it's significant because it's an off-the-turf race, because you've got a genuine maiden special New York bred against maiden claimers that are mostly meant for the turf. And last time out, she faced an interesting situation where there were 2 significant speeds in the race. So she wasn't able to be forward. Now, we did see a track that was a little closer to normal yesterday than we've seen in past times. We'll see if that continues, where closers did have a chance to get into the running a little bit more. But JJ Jen's supposed to be forwardly placed, and I just think it's the worst to beat.
Yeah, I know that, including Dahl, there was a lot more speed signed on last time, Breeders' Cup weekend here at the Big A for JJ Jen. I just, at a short price, you know, that race, despite the fact that there was a lot of speed in there, she didn't fire that day. Yeah, she's probably going to get in front of these horses. Deja Racante from my man Steve Sarah stays in. She showed some speed last time. She's not as fast as JJ Jen. I just didn't want to take her at a short price.
I hear you. So you've got the number 9, Kitty Therapy. The problem with Kitty Therapy is, and I've got her fourth, out of respect for Michelle Nevin. The 1 dirt race is an off-the-turf race. It was a sloppy sealed track. Michelle Nevin's not a trainer you think of putting horses on the turf that could run in the dirt. Because Michelle has 1 more turf races, and I think it's one of the things where she's becoming more acclimated as a turf trainer, but she's more of a dirt trainer and has more dirt horses. So for her to constantly want to run a horse in the turf and only the turf, to me it says that she really doesn't have any confidence this horse can run in the dirt.
You might be right. You could very well be right. I just
could be a good point.
Yeah, it could be a good point.
Okay.
We'll know in about 48 minutes. I just wanted to spread a little bit in here. I didn't want the favorite. I want a little bit of a spread.
I thought Deja Racante of second is kind of what we're supposed to bet against in here. Coming back on 10 days and is a turf horse for Steve Glaceris and going to take money, but these are the kind that usually take money in these races that are bad gambles.
I was not thrilled with the dirt horses in this race, so
well,
I took
the 1 horse that's
more
interesting,
turf.
and I moved to the second on the recommendation of David Aragona, and he's right, is the 5 Trumpet. And David has correctly told us many times and done very well betting horses out of the 1 dirt race that Trumpet ran in, and that's a race where the figure is just not working. And it's not just Beyer that has the number low. Timeform US too. That number probably, it's just a weird race, should be 25 points higher. And that figure should probably be close to 50, which is not necessarily to say that Trumpet's going to win, but it means he's probably a lot better than he looks based on the 1 race he ran in the dirt. So I'm going to use this horse as well. And that is a horse that has produced a lot of horses run well, and she takes charge. It's pretty good. We saw her dominate a field here, returning for Dermot Magner, I think, off a layoff, and she just smashed the field. She's okay.
Yeah, she beat that behind the couch by
she went by that horse like he was tied to a post.
Yeah.
So anyway,
okay.
Race number 2. I don't have much to say about race number 2. I just think Chilling with Friends is probably better than these. She was bad last time, but maybe some moisture in the track wasn't to her fancy. She's not much worse, but I don't know.
Yeah. The moisture probably doesn't help. They're going to put a pair of blinkers on her. I'm assuming that she's just going to be more forwardly placed today. We'll see. I don't know what Handle with Care is going to do. Handle with Care was kind of forwardly placed last time out. And
but she was very much with the racetrack in this race. This was during this time period when you just couldn't make up ground. So I think her performance is dressed up, and the figures sort of suggest it. She was kind of the horse I was against here. I didn't want her coming back, and I thought she'd take a lot of money.
And this was on Saturday? Sunday?
Feels like it was 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It was a week ago Friday, yeah.
Yeah, Friday.
So, it
So
was a very short time period ago.
yeah, very quick turnaround here.
I just think she had the run of the race on a track that was very favorable to her running style. I guess she could win. The interesting horse is probably the one that I have third and you have second, First Dawn.
Yeah, you would think though with First Dawn she'll need a little help on the front end. I just don't know how. I don't know how this race is going to shape up. Do the blinkers just put Chilling with Friends on the lead?
Well,
do they get
the
aggressive
5
with
has
Mom
speed,
Meatloaf?
the 6 has speed. I don't see why Mom Meatloaf would be rated, and I don't see why Handle with Care. Why would Vargas get away from the previous rider was successful with? So I don't think they'll be flying up front. I just think they're sort of I think it's sort of pace neutral this race, but the 3 is one of the speeds in here, and you'd like to think that Benji Hernandez will be aggressive. He has been struggling, and I think he needs to be more aggressive. One of the things I think that's hurt Benji, and I've seen this in a number of races I watch, he's lost position in races by being unaggressive. And I think he needs to get back to being more aggressive. That's what's worked for him in the past. As far as First Dawn, she was against the track when she was wide against a good rail 2 races back, and she was over her head last time out.
I think it's interesting as well. I'm pretty sure, and according to the DRF, I'm right. This is the first horse Benji's riding for Rudy Rodriguez.
Don't know. You're friends with Rudy. Ask him.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe, but I suppose that's possible. Race number 3, we are back on the turf, and we'll take a look at Mike's Girl, who Anthony has on top, and I have second. This was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. I don't know how they knew to make her a short price in here. I don't know how they knew a horse that had spent her whole career sprinting and mediocrely at that was going to relish stretching out in distance. Did she just beat a weak field, or is she a horse that should have been going all along? I'm somewhere on the fence, but I do think she beat up on a very weak field, and she meets a much tougher group today.
She absolutely did, and she absolutely does. I remember last time I wanted to put her on top so bad on the stretch out after knocking her and taking shots at her, sprinting her whole career. The stretch out obviously worked. And she rated off the pace that day. And I think that's going to bode well today because while she has to leave from outside there, you know, there's some other horses in here that...
She could be in front.
She could be.
Because Corey Scores, there's one other horse with speed, and that's Corey Scores. And I just don't see Irad going to an all-out send. So I think Mike's Girl is going to be in front today.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just thought last time her being able to settle successfully and get the job done could help her cause...
You think she could be worse on the lead?
No. What I'm just saying is it gives Kendrick some options.
I guess, yeah. I want to see it again to believe it, but I don't disagree. She could easily win this race. Frankly, I think Zabava's just better than she is. I've never been Zabava's biggest fan. There's an odd race at Keeneland 2 races back. I don't care about her dirt race last time out. I know she was a super short price. She probably shouldn't have been that short a price in there. She actually, I'm not sure. She ran okay. It's sort of a weird race to watch. She was out in the middle of the track trying to rally. It was kind of strange. She couldn't get a mile and 5/16 before that at Kentucky Downs. That Saratoga race she won, I don't know why she got bet that day. I don't know where her speed came from. She's never been that forwardly placed, and suddenly she was sitting in the pocket.
She had a great ride that day, too.
She did. It's like they knew she was going to win that day because she shouldn't have been a short price off her prior race. She is who she is. I think she's more reliable than the 10 and just preferred her, but I don't have a strong opinion.
I had a big problem with the Saratoga race because the Saratoga, and if you want better off the race 2 back, the Saratoga race, she got such a great ride, and then the prior win was in that 5-horse field where she didn't beat much over at Belmont Park.
I know, but I think she'll win on the race at Keeneland. I think her effort at Keeneland will beat this field.
That's what I'm saying. I think if you like her, you have to like her off that Keeneland race. And I just wanted to use a horse in Mike's Girl who kind of was good going long last time, and they've never sent Corey's. Has Corey Scores never been long? Is that accurate? Yeah.
Jeremiah Englehart's back to watching the show and texting during it, making jokes. He's making fun of you. I'm just letting you know.
What did he say?
I'm not going to say it.
What do you mean? You can't tell me he's making fun of me and not tell me. Wow.
We'll discuss it later. I actually agree with him, by the way. So, you know. By the way, 3 Technique had a nice win yesterday. He's heading to Oaklawn. Jeremiah told me for the stakes this winter. Or the stake race this winter, which race I'm not exactly sure when he would start. Take Charge Tina, a horse you would like at Saratoga. It was a good pick you had that day. She did run second, and this is her race. I just like getting a chance to go back to Saratoga and watch races while we're at the Big A. This race is good enough to give her a chance, and she draws very well inside. And I don't think we should totally dismiss the fact that she draws. I mean, she's in 4 posts and 6 posts, but that's relatively significant. She should get a good trip, and I actually think Dominic's doing the right thing, stretching her back out on the turf. Her best race on the turf was going longer.
I think
this was a bad field she met that day, but I still think she ran reasonably well in it.
I think she's the one that could give Mike.
She's definitely the one. She is the one.
Could give Mike's Girl fits on the front end. I think she's the one stretching out to go to.
I don't agree. She's not really a speed, but she's just not. And a lot of people like 5 Alarm Robin. I don't get this horse at all. I was surprised that David had this horse at 7-2. And since we know Jeremiah's watching, we might as well make fun of him. He asked me if you were trying out for Goodfellas. I'm thinking Goodfellas the musical. If they bring Goodfellas to Broadway, the musical, don't you want to try out?
The jacket? What's the problem? What is his problem?
I'm just bringing it up. I think he's right.
I'm the first
He makes
name.
a- I think he makes a great point.
By the way, for the record, first name in the bar scene is Anthony Stabile.
That's true. That's correct. 5 Alarm Robin, I don't get her. I don't want her off those races out of town. I don't know where she was ever good enough. I was surprised she was a short price.
Yeah, and he can't train anyway, so what's the big deal?
Yeah, it's a good point. Great. Not a great point, but a good point. All right. Anybody else? No.
No.
Race number 4. I thought race number 4 was very interesting, and you pointed out in my office, I had just noticed that Tan and Tight, and we'll take a look at Tan and Tight, Anthony's top choice, was a filly, but this is actually 3 fillies against the boys. We haven't run a lot of maiden special weights for older horses going short.
No, we have not.
I am not incredibly game to take a Chad Brown horse that's 6-5 morning line. We'll see if she ends up 6-5. That has failed 3 times at short prices in turf races. She's run well enough to win, and she could win here. I'm not thrilled with this horse. I don't think she's anything special at all.
That's fine. I don't really have
you're
much
friends
of an
with, you're friends with Bob.
Yeah, well, of
you gotta
course.
get in the car
I have
with
to do that.
Bob.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
You know,
I mean, that's what it is. And
still hoping, that you're friends with Chad. It's the debate.
That's what I do, yeah.
Hinges on dinner, right?
on
Saturday's dinner.
hinges on
His
Saturday's
friendship
dinner.
hinges on that Saturday dinner.
Yeah, that's what I do. I dangle the, selection of on Talking Horses, and then that's how I make friends now. This is what I do.
You have plenty of friends. You have more friends than anyone I know.
What? I don't know what I'm supposed to. I really didn't know what I was supposed to do.
I think you're
yet.
supposed to bet against this horse.
Okay.
Today. I think you're supposed to let this horse beat you. She can win. You're not supposed to let her beat you in any multis, but I think you're supposed to try to be a little more creative. The speed is by Nikki, another filly. She's another horse that's run out of chance with me. I don't want horses that have lost 2 races at odds on, and she looked like she should have won those races. And she lost to a good horse, and I'll handle the cash, but she just hasn't gone on with it in her races, and I'm just not her biggest fan, except that she's the speed. I like Jake Rocks in here. Now, obviously, if this race came off the turf, Jake Rocks would have been 1-9 in here because it would have been a match race. But Jake Rocks' pedigree suggests that he could easily be equally talented on the turf as he is in the dirt. And I think if he's equally talented in the turf, he's going to win here. He comes out of a race that I think is better than the figure suggests, honestly. I'm not saying the figure's wrong. It's a stronger race he comes out of. Time for that, Saratoga, he ran to a killer field, and he actually ran well in that race because that race was a race where the pace collapsed. Before that, the race where he was 3rd going back in November. He's on a dead rail. Look at some of the horses he's run against. American Mandate, Grump's Little Tots, Teekman Flu, Mijos, Air Touch, and Free Enterprise. This horse has done nothing but run into absolute tigers in every single race he's been in.
And Jimmy's horse last time that beat him, Soam Sound, that horse was behind Free Enterprise.
Thinking. There was another good horse in that race. Shug's horse was coming off a layoff, who got a ridiculous trip, but that horse is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Jake Rocks is a very interesting first time in the turf horse because I got to tell you, it's not surprising that maidens, their horses are still maidens, this late in the year are a little tiresome. And suddenly he's kind of a new face. And the new face in here are Jake Rocks and the filly Spin Control, who's a half to that good horse Goldwood. He's been a very good turf sprinter recently. That horse, the Medagliadoro, this is Hardspun. Hardspun's even better as a turf influence than Medagliadoro. And I think Spin Control is very dangerous in here. I'm going to try to get these 2 home. I'd like to make some sort of play where I'm alive to the 2 of them, and whether it's pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s, whatever.
Fair enough.
And make money if they win, because I think they're both interesting.
Fair enough.
It's hard count.
I know. Listen, I felt like
At 6 furlongs, you want hard count? An 0 for 13 with 7 seconds, Mike Maker horse?
That's not normally my style with the 0 for 13s,
No.
but
I think you gave up.
I kind of did. I just think
Don't
if Tan
give
and
up, Anthony.
I just think
We
if
don't want
Tan,
you to give up.
I just think if Tan and Tight comes with one of the races she's run in her
She might
last
run
3
second or
starts.
third.
Nah, I think one of those races she's run in her last 3 starts gets the money here.
If the 6 and 7 both aren't very good, which may well be the case, but she's no superstar.
I don't think she is.
And the money the Chad Brown horses take, except for complexity. We haven't discussed complexity.
Please,
How good was he yesterday? He was unbelievable yesterday.
I would have planned my day differently had I known he was going to actually be 2-1.
What would you have done differently?
I don't know. Maybe
You don't
knocked
know?
off a liquor store on the way over here or something to take 2.
You know, I'm going to tell you, Anthony, I want
want
to give you a piece of personal advice. if you start robbing like liquor stores, you're probably fairly easy to catch for a whole variety of reasons.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Go. You have some bad
One
opinions.
guy's got me in
That's your
Goodfellas.
worst.
One guy's got me in Goodfellas, and
No, I think we both do because you're the one talking about robbing liquor stores.
doing second story.
That
jobs.
wasn't me and Jeremiah.
Yeah, that's true
Race
too.
number 5. Peggy Sue is like the morning line favorite in this race. Here's her last race. I don't want her in this race.
How does she?
You really want
No.
horses that she just didn't finish at all.
I'm going to give it to you
Wisconsin
too.
Knight's okay, but you're really excited by Whale and Josie?
I'm going to set it up for you too. I'm going to give it to you. I'm not even going to try to avoid it. Here's the thing. How does she not win this race?
I don't know. How
Done.
does she not win?
That's it.
And
How
now
does she
she's
not
gotta
win the
get
race?
7
No,
today.
not this race. How does she not win last
No,
time
I'm
out?
saying, I know what you're saying, Anthony. I follow your.
She
your,
blows second money.
Well, Wisconsin Knight's okay. This is 7 furlongs today, and she couldn't finish last time at 6. I'm out.
I have a third,
I'm out.
but I think that's
got her
more
fourth.
of an indictment against the rest of the or against the rest of the field than it is
Well,
really.
they also hate Ray Handel.
Oh yeah. Well, that's 2 now.
But
Jeremiah
you got
and Ray.
Solitary Gem. Did I put that stat up? No, I did not send the stat, but go ahead. Don't use my stat, Jose.
Well, I don't.
Talk about Solitary Gem, your pick.
She's cutting back. She probably didn't want the mile on the 16th last time. She's cutting back. I think she's running against a little bit better.
Leah's sneaky good with
than-
the turnbacks.
Then I don't.
She's 2 for 54 on turnbacks
Well,
in the
there we
dirt.
go. This guy
with a
always, he's
32
always
cent
got to
ROI.
set it up like a wise guy too. He can't just say
I'm just
numbers
going to
aren't
do it
very
until you
good.
start looking up trainer stats on your own.
Guy couldn't do it. Couldn't just say they're not good.
She's terrible with turnbacks. Aren't you a little tired of this horse? I'm not saying she can't win.
I mean,
she
I
can.
guess, yeah,
She
I am
can.
a little tired, but
Mike,
again,
she's 1 for 21 with 10 seconds and thirds. I know I'm tired of her. I bet her about 5 times.
I hear you. I'm hoping that the 7/8, despite the turnback numbers, is what gets the job done for her today. And listen, I know it's the same level. This is the easiest bunch she's run against in a very
Not so
long
sure
time.
about that. Not so sure about that.
Who do you want in here?
I want a Braxton. Let's take a look at my stat for a Braxton. I found kind of interesting. Gary Siaka has good numbers. First time for tag in the dirt. And I think it's interesting. And I know they're not spectacular, but he wins with these type of horses. And the Braxton is running first time for a tag. And what's wrong with the Braxton, who's supposed to be forwardly placed in this race as well, by the way? Another race where Benji Hernandez should be forwardly placed. Braxton's got races that are okay. Why is she bad? What chance has she had since coming back off the layoff? She got a sloppy sealed track where she was involved in a pace that completely fell apart, and then she ran the turf. And now she's in this field. She's 10 to 1 morning. I mean, she's 10 to 1 morning line, and Let Me Have It is 9 to 2. Really? Aren't they kind of similar?
Yes.
And I think Let Me Have It can win. Let Me Have It was wide last time. And you didn't want to be wide. You wanted to be on the rail in that race. And I think it was against her. I don't think she ran terribly last time. I like those 2, 3 and 5.
Okay.
That's
I
it
think
for
you
me.
I think you went to a Braxton because you got a little push on Siak in the first, and you didn't want to miss him today.
We got a tip on Siaka in the elevator. We got a big, very big tip on that first or the elevator. Do you have a theory on elevator tips?
No.
No? There's no voodoo for elevator tips?
No voodoo.
All right. I like a Braxton and Let Me Have It.
I don't like elevators in general, so
I don't like those. I don't like bridges. Tunnels I like. Bridges I don't like being on bridges.
And I don't mind bridges. I don't like
I
tunnels.
don't like being stuck on bridges.
We'd have trouble driving together.
Race, well, we've driven together.
Somewhere far.
The car's like this when we drive together. But
This guy.
race number 6.
Wow. Can you take a day off tomorrow, maybe?
I'm off tomorrow
Oh,
on
good.
Sunday.
Okay. Oh, very
So I'm
good.
getting it all in today.
Good.
Race number 6. Let's talk about 2 Jason Service horses. Let's start off by looking at, we'll go back in the replay machine in a race at Belmont. When Wicked Freud beat Cluntia and Catch a Cab, it seems like such a short time ago, but it's not. Wicked Freud form has dissipated, but he is dropping significantly. He's also coming back on very short rest. I don't like Cluntia losing last time. He should have won that race. I wouldn't mind him off this race. I don't like him off his last race. As far as Catch a Cab, I don't like him off his race over the weekend. He had post 10. Irad might have given him, Irad won about, was that the day he won 5 races? Because I don't think he gave a better ride than he gave this horse, and he didn't even win with her. And I found a pretty interesting stat for Jason Service.
Wow.
Now, it can't be any better than 2 for 16 after today because he has to lose at least one of them. But how about that? Horses coming back on 1 to 10 days rest for Jason. He's just 1 for 14. And I looked this up because I thought Jason Service is very well known for giving his horses plenty of time. How has he done when he's brought back? Now, he's bringing them back because He'd
They're
love to
state
get
breds
him
in the
claimed.
season,
It's the end
yeah.
of the season. He wants to get a race into him. I understand all the reasons he's bringing back, and both horses can win here. Both of them. I just saw that stat and thought, man, that's horrifying. These horses come back on short rest. They do not run.
There are quite a few. I think half the field's coming back on less than 3 weeks in here, which is something
over 5 in routes.
We're not accustomed to seeing.
He was second at 1
this
to 2.
day and age.
One
Yeah,
hitting the
look,
board.
I mean,
one hitting the board in that.
That's not a great stat.
No, it's a terrible stat.
Terrible stat.
So you like Gambler's Fallacy. Here's my question to you on Gambler's Fallacy. Why would you like Gambler's Fallacy first and have What a Wonderful World fourth?
I'm just hoping the Gambler's Fallacy and the drop and the blinkers
Anthony,
help.
let me say it again.
Go ahead.
What a Wonderful World ran not a little better than him last time, a lot better than him last time. Not a little better, a lot better, and you've got one of them fourth and one of them on top.
Oh,
that can't be true.
This horse
You
hasn't
could have
won
him 1-2, but no, Gambler's Fallacy stayed on the rail and stunk. Did no running. What a Wonderful World was at least in the 2 path and did a little bit of running late in the race, in a race that features a slow pace. Now, I don't have a problem with saying Gambler's Fallacy was compromised by the slow pace last time and make an excuse. But you can't look at this race and tell me that you have the 4 Gambler's Fallacy on top and the 9 fourth. It's nonsensical.
It's not nonsensical when one horse has a 2-year layoff on his card. And I just,
But so what? What does the 2-year
so
layoff have to do with the
what-
last race they ran?
What do you mean, so what? So the horse has gone for 2 years.
But the horse ran the race ran last year, and now
has to come
is switching to
and
Joel
now has
Rosario.
to come back in 19 days.
So is Gambler's Fallacy. Gambler's Fallacy's, by the way, got 7 career starts. At least What a Wonderful World at one point in his career was able to put starts back together.
Well, I guess we found our lunch bet for the day.
It's not. You're missing the point I'm making.
No, I know the point you're making.
I don't think the 4 is impossible here. I'm not going to be shocked if he wins this race.
My point
I'm saying you
is-
can't have one first, the one that ran worse first, and the one that ran the better race
I
fourth.
can when one of them is coming just
but
over a
it's a
2-year
it's a
layoff and
crazy
making the
strategy.
start in 19 days.
It's nonsensical. I'll put it this way. How many lunches do you want to bet that there are less than 3 horses between these 2 horses? And that means, in other words, Gambler's Fallacy finishes 3rd, that What a Wonderful World will finish no better, no worse than 6th.
No, these bets are crazy now.
But that's what you're doing here. Anyway, we'll run out of time having this fight. I think you need to think about it. I do think Kunti is not impossible in here, but I don't like the last race. I don't like the horses this horse lost to at Parks. But was coming back on 13 days and now has over a month since the race.
But he does have to deal with Go Silently on the front end.
I'm using 4 to 5-9.
Yeah,
But I think he can why wouldn't Manny just let Go Silently go?
Yeah, he could. I'm using 1-4-5-9. I'm not going to let Wicked Freud beat me. I know he's dropping. I know the stat stinks, but I'm not going to let that horse beat me today.
Okay. I hear you. He's not impossible.
How much money would you have lost on this that I didn't pick Satisfy today?
Actually, Satisfy's interesting.
Yeah, of course she is.
She's interesting because she has pedigree. Because she's actually she's bred better, Satisfy. We go to the 8th race, Anthony's favorite horse, Satisfy. She's bred better for turf, but I think they're starting getting desperate with her. We'll get to her. Dream Pass is the horse to beat. I'm shocked you don't have her in front. We'll show her last race. Honestly, I think the one thing they figured out with Dream Passage is she wants to be aggressive. And when she's aggressive, she's just better. She didn't even get the lead in this race, and she still won. She has to fall down at the start not to have the lead in today's race.
True.
And they've got to be aggressive with her. I got to tell you something. She's just good. I hate putting Moto obvious favorites, but she's good.
Yeah, I wanted to use the 2 and the 6 in here, and the late pick 4 and the late pick 5.
I hear you.
And that was pretty much it. I want to take a little bit of a shot against her on the front.
The
She's going to
problem
be
with the
3 to
6,
5.
Tariga, is
Well, I
really
think
good.
Tariga's a little interesting. The first time she runs in this country, it's Haskell Day with all the delays down there at Monmouth in the 3-horse field. Then they run.
but she had she actually got an off. She didn't get an awful ride. It wasn't Johnny's fault. The bad ride was actually in Competition Ideas, whose rider decided to keep her locked in and not let Johnny let her get out there and run when he should have let her go. And then Competition Ideas would have had a little more pace to run at, and she would have won the race. That's another story.
I'm not going to worry too much about that race with the circumstance off the October layoff. They come back and they run her up in Canada in the
On a yielding
Canadian
turf.
Starship Jubilee. Comes back and wins the
But she was brutal.
wins the EP Taylor.
But she was brutal. She was brutal.
She was terrible.
Brutal.
She wasn't good. Then they come back and they run her a mile and a half against a friendly and gentle ruler who's kind of a distance specialist. Now she comes back here.
Last time out, actually, there's more to expand on in her last race. She actually was very competitive until the late stages. She couldn't get the mile and a half.
Well, that's the point.
If you watch that race, she sat in a perfect pocket trip, and she moved out like a winter top the stretch, and she couldn't finish, so she couldn't get the distance. I don't disagree. I just don't know if she's that
cutting back to the mile and a 16th. I don't really like the one. Dream Passage is going to be a big favorite. I think a mile and a 16th is probably too short for Chipolata. I feel the desperation would satisfy.
Awful. I mean, Chipolata's just been awful. How can you pick her? Her last race was awful.
I know.
I think in some ways the biggest threat to the favorite is Satisfied.
She probably
because
is.
She's an unknown with turf pedigree, and she could be forward in this race. It's hard to take her races off the layoff are terrible, and I feel bad because you and I joked about her a lot, and you're a big fan of hers, but clearly whatever issue kept her off the racetrack, she's not bouncing back from it.
No.
And they'll give her a shot though on the turf because she could handle the surface.
Yeah.
She's bred to.
I'll have her on a backup ticket just, because I don't want her to beat me she'll be the fourth choice in here, maybe the third choice, but the other two are, I think they're hickory in here.
I don't think Tariga is hickory at all. I don't think there's any evidence by Tariga that she's really very good. I'm not going to be shocked if she wins.
You don't think this is a significant drop to everything she's faced so far here?
Dream Passage is an extraordinarily good.
She's getting good, but the other fillies.
No.
She's running against graded stakes winners.
Doesn't matter. I think the way Dream Passage is running like a graded stakes horse.
Yeah. Well,
Dream Passage has been very, very good, Anthony.
I don't disagree. Listen, I liked her, and you made fun of me the first time I liked her when she went long. You thought I was nuts.
That's what I do. I make fun of you.
I'm just saying.
Race number 8. What'd you do in race number 8?
I took the Mike Trumbetter shipper, dropping Joel 4, central exit.
Horse broke a half slow. Didn't do much running. I got the worst second. Seems okay.
Yeah,
extra
16th of a mile today. No, not much to say.
I like the 8 B Magic, actually.
Almost put this one on top, too.
B Magic actually ran okay first time out and then was super wide the second time out in the dirt at Belmont. This horse was 4 wide in the turn, maybe 5 wide, was way out in the middle of the racetrack, and that was a day where the rail was definitely an edge. The race played out relatively fairly, but it was an advantage to be inside. It was compromised, and they tried a turf route. I don't know why. I think this horse is back doing what she's supposed to do, and I just think she's super, super logical in here. And I prefer her to the other Rudy runner who may take more money. I'm not a big Maru fan. I don't think she did any running last time at all.
Yeah, she just showed.
She was on the rail.
She showed
the rail
some
was
speed
good.
from the rail.
She
Yeah,
just kind of backed up. Not
that was it.
She's not impossible, but I just think the 8 is a much more likely winner. I have a trainer staff for Linda Rice with Officer Hutchie. You'll probably take some money in here. And Linda's numbers with her first-time starters in maiden claiming races and dirt sprints, they're just not very good. This is not one of the reasons Linda wins with a lot of second-time starters is she doesn't win with first-time starters.
And if you remember, the number for a while with the debut runners in the tag was 0.
She started winning because she was trying to not prove me wrong. She was joking about it with me. No. I honestly do think that a lot of a trainer looks sometimes your stats are bad for a reason. Not good with first-time starters, yes, because listen, Linda can be bad at lots of things. She's one of the best trainers in the country, in my opinion. I think Linda does an amazing job, and one of the reasons I tease her is that not only we're very friendly, but I also have enormous respect for her. I think she's as smart and as good a trainer as there is out there. But she's bad. Sometimes trainers are bad for a reason. In other words, if you use what you're bad at to be good at something else, it's okay that you don't do well at something. No trainer is good at everything.
It's almost like taking a step backwards, take 2 steps forward.
Sometimes, right, exactly. Sometimes you're doing something unsuccessfully because it helps you be more successful going forward. And there's a big argument that winning with first-time starters is not always the best thing for them.
Which is really strange because Linda Rice from 25, 30 years ago, that's what they were known for, right? They came out of the box first time out and they just her and Stanley Huff, right? When I was a kid, her and Stanley Huff won with all their firsters.
Well, one of the reasons a lot of trainers won with first-time starters was they were looking to sell them.
Yep.
And that's
Nobody was better than her and Stanley at doing
scenario than exists today.
Completely different.
And it's just a very, very different situation. And, Linda's an adapter. People always said she was queen of the turf sprints. No, she kind of figured out turf sprints better than a lot of people did. When we first started running them here, she kind of understood them better than other people, so she was good at them. She was smart. She figures out, a good trainer figures out how to take advantage of situations. And you need to take advantage of Naira Bets. Head over to Naira Bets, sign up, use Big A. We'll match up a $200 deposits. Big A is the promo code. We have this special offer in the second race today. Bet $10 across the board, $10 back in the first race. First race on the app only. Johnny I with the reprise.